So someone reached out to me with an older, like old school beatboxing video, and I'm super excited to get into it because I too am old. Yeah, there we go.
Beatboxing.
Man.
Yeah. Come in the box. Steve. Yeah. T'entends ça ou quoi? Yeah. T'entends ça ou quoi? Yeah.
Listen to that kick.
Yeah. Beatboxing. Yeah. If I told you once.
Nice.
If I told you once.
Wow, those scratches. Wow, there's a lot to talk about. So, like, I think one of the most important things about hip hop, and I learned this from a hip hop producer back when I was doing some recording arts classes. Like, we were so excited to work with the hip hop guy, and I was with a bunch of like wannabe jazz guys, myself included. And we were like working on beats, you know, with like swaying, like right, like stuff like that. And he was like, no. And we were like, why not? And the emphasis, the what he said, I'll never forget. He's like, you don't have an appreciation for the first count of the measure. So usually, like almost always, hip hop songs are in 4/4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And the kick and the way it hits is what he said was the single most important thing when he was looking at making tracks. And this is really, really, really important when we compare like 80s hip hop, 90s hip hop. We're talking like old school, like Wu-Tang Clan. We're talking, I don't want to say Will Smith because like, it's like, that has, I don't know if that's aged well. But like Wu-Tang, like when that stuff came out, you know, a lot of the scratches in the 80s hip hop styles. So this is definitely like a throwback to that. But of all the things that are going on, listen to the kick. You see, you hear how hard that hits? Like by comparison, let's look at something else. So we're going to do like a quick side by side. Okay, so we're going to look at what are called transients, which means basically like percussive elements in audio, for lack of a better term. So this is the old school, right? Super, super hard hitting. This is Den. Right? Now that also hits hard, but I want you to take a notice of this, okay? Look at how compressed this is compared to the old school, and I'll show you So the way that a compressor works is it will take the lows and it will the things that are low in volume and boost them, and then anything that's higher in volume will get lowered. And so it compresses the dynamic range. A lot of people have a lot of feelings about this. I'm not here to say whether it's good or bad. I'm more interested in the cause and effect. Listen to look at the difference, just even look at it, between that kick compared to the audio that came before it. And that's the old school. Now let's take a look at the new. I mean, I don't even need to draw this. Look at this. This is the kick from Den. Look at everything around the kick. The dynamics are not even close to being the same. This is old school beatbox with a tremendous emphasis on the kick, because at the time, that's what hip hop was focused. So let's play these in context. So let's take a look at this. So you see how the kick is like, it doesn't have, it doesn't even kick that hard. That's not to say it's, listen, I'm not over here saying, back in my day, beatboxers had to walk uphill 15 miles both ways. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is that there's a difference in priority, right? Listen to all of those sounds that Den is doing and how clear they are in the mix and how intentionally clear they are in the mix. Like, just take a listen to them. Right? Everything is kind of like, there's a lot of compression, but the mix is great in that you hear every detail of every sound, which is currently a big priority in beatboxing competitions. And that's what people are interested in right now. And again, that's not bad. It's just very different. And so we go back to old school beatboxing, right? And we get this, right? You almost don't hear a lot of the other things, but you most certainly hear that kick. So this is what I made a video about this. Like, well, I've heard this sound before, so it's not exciting. And that's a whole rant, that's a whole to-do. But this is like, this is a very important thing. Listen to how good the scratches are too, right? This is insane. Like, that's pretty sick. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that more doesn't equal better. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it's worse either, just to be clear about that. What it means is that there's a different artistic priority, and that it should be appreciated on their own merits, right? You have old school beatboxing where there's not, I mean, there's still a lot of variety of sounds, but the primary goal is not to expand what the human voice can do as much as it's trying to make the human voice do what a literal beatbox, which is it was literally, it's a box and it plays sounds. You know, you kids these days with your YouTube, yeah, it makes sounds. So contrast that to modern day sentiments, where the focus is to make as many different sounds as possible and to push the envelope of what is going on in beatboxing. That's cool too. That's pretty rad, right? But where one of my personal frustrations exists is in the idea that this doesn't have as much value because it doesn't have as many variety of sounds as this, right? If you really want to fall in love with music, and this has taken me years to get like appreciation for such specific details, this, in the words of my hip-hop producing friend, that's the most important thing for him. So I think it's worth digging into and appreciating all the fine details and the vast history of beatboxing.